The arrogant man's fate. The small village of 𝐾𝐿 was known for its peace and strong traditions. Families lived closely, and everyone knew each other. Among the villagers, one man stood out, Onyeka. Onyeka was not just any man. He was the most handsome young man in 𝐾𝐿. His smooth skin, broad shoulders, and confident smile made women admire him. But Onyeka was also arrogant. He believed his looks gave him power over women, and he used this power without mercy. Many women in 𝐾𝐿 had fallen for Onyeka's charm. He made promises, whispered sweet words, and acted like a perfect lover, only to leave them heartbroken. He had no interest in marriage or commitment. For him, women were just toys to enjoy and throw away. Mama 𝐾𝐿, the oldest woman in the village, often warned the young ladies about Onyeka. She had lived long enough to know the ways of deceitful men. A handsome face does not mean a good heart, she would say. A man who plays with women's hearts will one day cry tears of regret. But many girls ignored Mama 𝐾𝐿's warnings. They saw Onyeka's beauty but not his wicked heart. One of these women was 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿. 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿 was different from the other women in 𝐾𝐿. She was kind, patient, and deeply in love with Onyeka. She had been with him for 12 years, waiting for the day he would marry her. When other men came to ask for her hand in marriage, she rejected them, believing Onyeka's words. He had introduced himself to her family, promised her marriage, and even told her to wait. But what 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿 did not know was that Onyeka never planned to marry her. To him, 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿 was just convenient. She cooked for him, cared for him, and stayed loyal. But Onyeka had already made up his mind he would only marry a virgin woman. I need a pure woman. Someone who has never been touched by any man, Onyeka would say to his friends. They laughed, knowing his history. Onyeka had been with countless women, yet he wanted a woman who was pure. One morning, Onyeka woke up and made a decision. It is time to marry, he announced. The villagers were surprised. Could Onyeka, the heartbreaker of 𝐾𝐿, finally be settling down? But Onyeka had a condition. He wanted a wife who had never been with any man. To prepare for his search, he cut off all past relationships. He blocked 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿's calls, ignored her messages, and even stopped visiting her family. Then he started attending church. He believed he could find pure women in the church prayer group. He even joined the choir, pretending to be a man of faith. Among the women in the group was 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 was a beautiful and soft-spoken woman. She was known for her strong faith and kindness. Unlike the other women Onyeka had deceived, 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 was careful. She had heard stories about Onyeka. He has changed, people whispered. He fasts, prays, and is always in church. Onyeka pursued her with all his strength. He gave her gifts, prayed with her, and even claimed he wanted a holy marriage. 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 was hesitant, but Onyeka's actions seemed genuine. Then, one day, he proposed to her. To prove his change, Onyeka went on a 21-day fasting and prayer retreat. He lost weight, looking weak and humble. People in the village praised him for his transformation. Onyeka has changed, they said. God has touched his heart. 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, seeing his dedication, accepted his proposal. When 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿 heard of the engagement, her heart shattered. 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿 could not believe it. For 12 years, she had waited for Onyeka. Now, he was marrying someone else. She ran to him in tears. Onyeka, why are you doing this to me? She asked. You promised to marry me. You met my family. Onyeka leaned back in his chair, smirking. 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿, let's be honest. You were never wife material, he said. You were just convenient. 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿's heart shattered into a million pieces. She left his house, crying. The villagers watched as she disappeared from 𝐾𝐿 village. Onyeka's wedding was the biggest event in 𝐾𝐿 village. People gathered from far and wide to celebrate. 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻, dressed in white, looked like an angel. The wedding was perfect. But on their first night together, Onyeka noticed something strange. When 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻 slept, her eyes remained open. "Why are your eyes open?" Onyeka asked. "Oh, it happens sometimes," she said, smiling. Onyeka felt uneasy but ignored it. After the wedding, Onyeka returned to his old ways. He secretly started seeing other women. But the first time he was with another woman, something strange happened. He collapsed, unconscious. When he woke up, he was confused. "Maybe I was just tired," he thought. But it happened again. And again. Every time he cheated, he would fall unconscious. Onyeka began to panic. The village started talking. "Have you heard? Onyeka falls down every time he cheats." Some said it was a sickness. Others believed it was a curse. Onyeka started avoiding women, but his pride wouldn't let him change. This must be Uche's doing, he thought. He decided to find her, but she was nowhere to be found. Desperate, Onyeka visited herbalists, pastors, and prophets. Nobody could explain his condition. "You must find the person who cursed you," one prophet told him. Then, one day, Onyeka met a mysterious woman. She was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. As he reached out to touch her, something terrifying happened. Onyeka could not believe his luck. The woman standing before him was the most beautiful he had ever seen. Her skin was flawless, her eyes deep and mysterious. She smiled at him, and his heart raced. "What is your name?" Onyeka asked, his voice dripping with charm. "My name is Ada," she replied, her voice soft and inviting. Onyeka was convinced that his curse was over. He had been collapsing every time he was with a woman, but now nothing had happened. "Maybe I was just imagining things," he thought. Feeling powerful, he led Ada to a private room. He leaned in, ready to kiss her, and then it happened. A sharp pain shot through his body. His legs trembled, his arms stiffened, and his heart pounded violently. He tried to step back, but he couldn't move. As Onyeka stared in terror, Ada's body began to change. Her beautiful face stretched unnaturally. Her smooth skin turned rough and scaly. Her eyes glowed red. And then, her body transformed into a giant snake. Onyeka wanted to scream, but no words came out. The snake slithered closer, wrapping itself around him. His mind raced. Was this a dream? A trick? Was he finally going to die for his sins? The snake tightened its grip, and Onyeka felt his breath leaving his body. He thought his end had come. Then, the door burst open. 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻 stood at the doorway, her eyes filled with fire. She did not look surprised to see a giant snake strangling Onyeka. Instead, she raised her hands and began to pray. "By the power of the Almighty, I command you to leave," she declared. The snake hissed angrily, tightening its grip. Onyeka's face turned pale as he gasped for air. 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻 prayed louder. The room shook, and suddenly, the snake vanished into thin air. Onyeka fell to the floor, trembling uncontrollably. 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻 walked closer, staring down at him. "You think I didn't know," she said. Onyeka froze. "What do you mean?" he asked weakly. 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻's eyes darkened. "What did you do to Tond?" she asked. Onyeka's stomach twisted. He had not heard that name in years. Onyeka remembered everything. Years ago, in his days of pride, he had a best friend named Tond. Tond was a kind and gentle man who had loved the woman deeply. Her name was Amoka, and she was everything to him. But Onyeka, in his arrogance, had made a bet with his friends. "I will make Amoka fall for me," he had boasted. "No woman can resist my charm." He had returned in secret, waiting for the perfect time to strike back. It was Ton's curse that was haunting Onyeka. It was Ton's revenge that made him collapse every time he was with a woman. Onyeka's entire body went cold. "I didn't know," he whispered. "You never cared to know," 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 replied. "And now, your sins have found you." For the first time in his life, Onyeka felt true fear. He knew what he had to do. The next morning, Onyeka went in search of Ton. After asking around, he finally found him, living on the outskirts of the village, alone. Ton was no longer the young man Onyeka once knew. His face was hard and unreadable, his eyes empty. Onyeka fell to his knees before him. "Ton, please," he said, his voice shaking. "I am sorry for what I did to you." Ton stared at him, silent. Then, after a long pause, he spoke. "You broke me, Onyeka," he said. "You took away something precious to me, and for years, I lived in darkness." Onyeka's eyes filled with tears. "I was arrogant. I was foolish. I see my mistakes now. I beg you, Ton, please forgive me." For a long time, Ton said nothing. Then, finally, he sighed. "Forgiveness is not easy," he said. "But I will not let hate consume me any longer. I forgive you, Onyeka." Onyeka collapsed into sobs. His curse was broken. After that day, Onyeka changed completely. He returned to 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, ashamed of everything he had done. "I don't deserve you," he told her. "Then prove me wrong," she said. Onyeka cut off his past lifestyle. He stopped chasing women. He returned to Mama X's prayer group, not to impress anyone but to truly seek help. And for the first time in his life, he became a faithful husband. Years later, 𝐬𝐻𝐻𝐿 returned to 𝐸𝐻 village. She was no longer the heartbroken woman who had left. She was strong, successful, and happily married. Onyeka met her at the village market. "𝐬𝐻𝐻," he said softly. "I am sorry for what I did to you." She smiled. "I forgave you a long time ago," she said. "Life has been kind to me, and I have everything I ever wanted." Onyeka felt relieved. 𝐬𝐻𝐻 was truly free from his shadow. One day, a new woman came to the village. She was young and beautiful, and she tempted Onyeka. Would he return to his old ways? Or had he truly changed? For a moment, the old Onyeka struggled. Then he walked away. He had truly changed. Onyeka became a respected man in the village. People no longer feared him, they admired him. He and 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 built a strong, happy marriage. And for the first time in his life, Onyeka knew peace. The village of 𝐸𝐻 never forgot Onyeka's story. His life became a lesson to others. Pride and arrogance lead to destruction. No one escapes the consequences of their actions. Onyeka had fallen, but he had also risen again. And so, the heartbreaker of 𝐸𝐻 village became a faithful husband. Because in life, what goes around always comes around. The end. Enjoyed the tale? If so, please like the video, comment, share it with your family and friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more enchanting tales like this one. Goodbye.